everybody, and welcome to Cope with Hope. Many years ago, I became a past life regressionist, and then I did my soul coaching course. And with both, Akashic Records came into being. But recently, I wanted to go deeper, and that's how I found Lucia and her sister Lorena. They are the founders of Soul Tribe Academy, and they have this wonderful Akashic Records course. And I requested them if they would kindly come to Cope with Hope to do an interview with me and tell you a little bit about what they do. And it so happened that we were able to work it out because we all live in other corners of the world. And well, here we are. Here is Lucia. And the wonderful thing is, I didn't know why this was happening, but about 3 weeks ago, while I was doing my Akashic record reading or meditation, suddenly I was taken to the beach, and Lucia's name in Lucida calligraphy italics kept being written across the rocks, and I had no idea why. And today, when I was just getting ready for this interview, I said, now I understand what they were trying to tell me.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know this story.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I was stalking you. There you go.
Well, I was stalking you. Something was happening in the Google of the world, of the mind. Yeah, so Lucia, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Where do I start? I guess a good place to start is, since you're into Akashic Records and that's how you met us. I'm an Akashic Records reader. This year it's going to be 13 years. So in a few months, it's going to be 13 years of doing that. I say it's my longest relationship with the masters because my other human relationships seem to come and go a lot. Yeah. So it's my longest relationship. I'll never break up with the Akashic Records.
No.
It's cool. So I read other people, and then of course I can read my own records, but my current passion is reading others and teaching people to read their own. And you don't have to be like psychic. You don't have to be a medium. Like, you don't have to have been born and say, oh, I was born with these abilities. You can literally learn and train yourself to connect to your own Akashic Records. It's like our given right. Like, anybody can connect to their Akashic Records. It's just wanting to do it and feeling the desire and the knowing that you deserve that. Like, you have the right to connect to your sacred information and to help you figure your stuff out. And one thing that we teach a lot with Lorena, especially when we're training people to learn to read others and to read themselves, what we try to teach people is, your life is not going to be like all of a sudden magically perfectly aligned. Everything's going to, all your problems are going to go away. That's actually not going to happen. Because if that were to happen, that means that why would you even be here if everything's, totally aligned and there's no lessons, there's no struggles. What you're going to be doing with the Akashic Records is figuring out why that struggle is there. And from a place of information, you heal that. You go, oh, you know what? I understand that. Like, I understand why I went through that and what I'm supposed to learn. And it's almost like you accept it more, like you don't push against it so much. So I think if I had to categorize the Akashic Records, I would say it's an information healing tool. Those two things come together like in a package and create healing and understanding, and then they help you also align yourself to what path you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do in this lifetime. What's good for one person might totally be the wrong thing for another person. So it's not like, not every path is the same.
Yes.
I pushed against it because I mean, if I had to go back all the way to when I was born, my story is a bit complex and I guess you would say kind of like complicated. But I was born into I guess you could say Lucia's body, because my soul chose this body, came into this world very, very sick. And so my mom had a struggle with not knowing if I was going to survive. And at 6 months, the doctors basically told my mom, yeah, she's going to be dead in about 2 weeks. She's not going to make it. We don't know what's wrong with her. And I was in this process of starvation. My body wasn't bringing in the nutrients. And so my mom just kept changing doctors, and all the doctors were kind of saying, yeah, we don't know what she has. And we're talking about the 1982 when we've advanced a lot in the medical field. So figuring out what was wrong back then was probably much more complicated. I can imagine the way my mom tells the story, but she ended up in the door of a psychic lady in in the town where she lived. Someone said, listen, you've gone to every doctor. What do you have to lose? She's basically either going to die or live. And at this point, she seems to be on the road to death. Bring her to this lady. Maybe she can tell you something. And that lady today, I still call her my grandma. She's become like a blood family member. Yeah. So my mom, she says, you were this little thing. I was just holding, you could hold you with your two hands. It's like you were shrinking instead of growing. And she said, I took her to this lady, and the lady opened the door. My mom just put me in the lady's hands and said, help me now. And the lady, I talked to my grandma now, and she says, you were this tiny little thing. And I didn't know how, because she's one of those people that has so many abilities, but you can see how people even that have abilities even question themselves. She goes, I don't know how I thought I was going to help you. You were just so tiny. What she ended up doing was she has the abilities where she scans the body and she can figure out what's going on. And through healing and through reading the body and through actually getting a doctor that will listen to what she had to say, they were kind of able to go back and forth and find solutions to help me. And the message that she had given my mom after she figured out how to heal me, and I was starting on the path of, coming back, I guess you can say, she said, this she's going to be really big. She's going to be bigger than her sister at some point. So don't worry about that. She's going to grow, but also she's going to give messages to people, and she's going to work in the healing field. And my mom didn't believe any of it, especially the part like that I was going to be bigger than my sister at some point when we were teenagers, and I was going to beat my sister up, which actually ended up happening. I did used to beat my sister up.
Oh no.
Yeah, poor Lorena. I was like the aggressive one, and Lorena was the more mental one. Yeah. So, I mean, kids always fight. Yeah. But so I fought against that. I don't know why. I became, teenager, and we all have this era when we're like really rambunctious and against the law, or against the rules or whatever. So I really heavily went to that place, and I kept having my mom in my ear and my grandma in my ear telling me, no, you're supposed to give messages, you're supposed to align with this. And I was just pushing against it. And so I pushed against it enough to the point where I started getting this experience of dream premonitions, of aviation accidents. And this went on for 3 years of my life. And I mean, I remember, I would think back to it. I think I blocked a lot of it out, but when I do go back and try to remember it, what I remember is just feeling like I was seeing death all the time. And I was experiencing people screaming in the airplane. I would see how the airplane would like go down or blow up or fire or whatever it was. And I would know around where in the world it was going to happen. And it usually happened between 2 weeks to a month after. And that went on for 3 years. Till one day I told my mom, like, I can't do this anymore. I was drained. At the time I was living in Uruguay, South America, where I'm from. And at the time, the only thing I could think of was, okay, my mom's like, go see this astrologer. He's on the radio all the time. And I think he does people's astrology charts. And so I went and I told him my story, and he said, well, I think you should get an Akashic Records reading. I said, what's that? I mean, this is like, this was about, 14 years ago. Like, it was just so new. Right. Yeah. And I was like, what is that? So it took me about a year to find someone that actually reads Akashic Records. In Uruguay, there was nobody that could find at the time. There were a few people that were doing it in Argentina, which is right next door to Uruguay, but they were charging like $2,000 a reading. Okay. And I was like, I didn't have $2,000. Like, no. So I had to wait it out until I finally found someone in Uruguay about a year later who was in a price range that I could afford. And I went, and the biggest question on my list of questions for that reading was, why am I having these aviation accident premonition dreams? And what am I supposed to do with it? Like, am I supposed to call American Airlines and be like, yo, one of your airplanes is gonna, like, they're gonna think I'm a bomber. Like,
God. And
so the response was, no, we just trying to make you realize that you can use your brain for something else than just thinking. Yeah. That you can use it to receive information. And then later on, I discovered that they realized that, or they know me very well, and I'm an extremist. For me to wake up, it needs to be something super extreme. Whereas if it were my sister, Lorena, it's like, you could just send her a little bit of a messaging and she'll listen. But for me, it's like, it's got to be in my face. So they really put it in my face for 3 years. And I was like, okay, I'm waking up now.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, great. I can use my brain for something else other than thinking. So how do I do that? And how do I get these dreams out of my reality? I'm done with them. And I said, well, for example, learn to read your own Akashic Records. And the lady who read me was a teacher. So I said, okay, sign me up to your next class. I'll do anything I have to get rid of these dreams. And that was the beginning of my path to reading the Akashic Records of myself, and then learning to read others, and then becoming, doing the mastery to do the teacher. And that's it. That's how I opened the door to doing what I do now. And they had to push me. They totally had to push me because I was not doing it.
So amazing. So I want to ask you, do you think many people have sort of gut instincts, or they receive messages? Would you say that these are from their masters and guides?
Yeah, I think it also depends on the person. When I read people's like records, I'll see their spiritual team usually. And it really depends on the person. Some people, their soul's the one that's like the main communicator. It's just their soul's like, yeah, I've done so many lifetimes. I totally got this.
Yeah.
I don't really need too much assistance. They'll be there. Like the masters and the guide will be there if it's needed. But some individuals will just have direct contact with their soul. Some people have a really good relationship with their guide, and it's all about connecting with their guide. And other individuals like me, for example, I'm more about the masters. I know that I have a guide, and I know she's a feminine energy, she's somewhere there, but I tend to go direct to the masters because I feel like I connect better with that. So I think that there's no one way or one rule of what you're connecting with.
Yeah.
I think you just have to really feel, I think I'm connecting with my soul, and just go with that. Like, okay, I'm going to start talking. I mean, talk to what it is you think you're speaking to, you're connecting with. In my case, right away, I'll be like, hey, masters, what's going on with this? Right. So it's like, it's like your friend, just like,
Yeah.
they know you better than like a
And
partner or your child, or, they know us
Yeah.
really well. So you can just ask them and talk to them. And it's a process, learning to receive the information and maybe feeling like you're not crazy in the beginning. But you have to go with it. You can't like, I say, don't judge it. Just trust it.
Yes. Yeah, that's amazing. And then I also know that you're a Bach flower therapist. I think I've read that. And
Yeah.
was this, were you guided by your masters to do this, or?
I mean, yeah, the thing was, I was mostly looking for things to assist with the Akashic Records, because you have a reading with someone and you give them a bunch of information, and it brings a lot of like knowledge of what their struggles, and it helps them heal. But we still have all this human stuff that it's really hard for all of us to kind of take out. And so I wanted to find a way where I can assist the individual after reading, to help them process what they just found out, and to help them process to release what they need to release. And I think the best way to do it is natural remedies and what nature gives you. And I'm so into Bach flowers. I know my sister's taken it a step forward, and she's gone into, I think it's called California flowers and those bush flowers. So my sister's gone a little bit further. I've basically stuck with the structure of the Bach flowers because I'm a huge Bach, I'm so into his studies.
Yes.
I totally read about his history, and the guy totally vibes with me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I was guided. I would say it was more Lucia trying to find another tool. But I mean, everything we do that we bring into the awareness of this, this reality to help other people, it is also partially guided as well. So I would say a little bit of both.
Yes. So it's all for the healing of whatever comes up at that moment for them, and then for yourself as well. Yes, I'm a great believer in that. I feel, any self-enhancing that we do, that process that we do is for healing in that moment, and helping us live our lives better. And as you said very rightly, and as you say in your course, it's not that the challenges will go away. Maybe more will come.
Yeah.
But there'll be that healing inside, a different sort of healing inside.
Yeah.
So tell me something, Lucia. What is it that you feel held you together, if you did feel held together during this whole pandemic time? What?
Wow, I didn't feel distraught at any point, to be honest with you. Like I would have to say that I had a pretty good year. Well, now it's been more than a year, of course, but
Yes.
I've had a pretty good time. I mean, what I did was, and I'm in Holland. So in Holland, yeah, we were somewhat heavily locked down.
Yes.
But I have like a nature like path around here. So I was every day, I had a routine. That's what kept me sane, like the routine. I would wake up and I would give breakfast to my daughter, who's 4 years old. I'd give breakfast to my daughter. I would have breakfast. And then we would go for the nature walk with the dog. And that was a routine. And then she would go to her park. And then we'd come back. I would do some, emails and whatever, my podcast stuff while she watched cartoons, and then lunch. And then, so I kept myself with the routine. I think it never felt like I stopped working. It never felt like I stopped with, I have a mission to study this and do that. I doubled down on learning. I started learning cryptocurrencies, and my goal was to begin my process of becoming independent from the system, which is something that Lorena and I talk about a lot. Yes. We want people to become financially independent and empower themselves, because the idea is we're all stuck under this corrupt system. And what we want is to try to pull ourselves as much out of that reality as possible, so we can live in the Akashic Records always call it the reality bubble, create your own good reality bubble. So yeah, all that junk in the world's going to continue to go around, but you've decided to opt out. You've decided to place yourself outside of it. And we have the right to say that. We have the right to say as souls, you know what? I signed up to be on earth, and maybe I signed up to help and heal, but it doesn't mean I have to suffer under the system as much. Let me just place myself outside of there. So I focused on that. I focused on becoming independent from the system, which obviously I'm still working on. I'm focusing on learning more healing tools. And it's just like, I think that if anybody were struggling that's listening to this, my advice would be look for tools and methods to empower yourself.
I agree. I totally agree. That's how I did your course. So I just doubled down on learning, learning more, even though, I've been a therapist for like almost 35 years.
Oh, wow.
There's never enough learning. I feel if you open your mind, you can always stretch it into more learning. In fact, that's better for you. You don't get stuck in your niches. I think I'll learn till the day I die. I think, because I think that's a very important thing, to stay fresh, to stay open to the will of the universe, because, things keep changing.
And this is gonna continue. I mean, Lorena and I have talked before about timelines. I don't know if you've heard those episodes, but we've talked about timelines and how it works. And when the Akashic Records talk to us about what's coming, they never tell us this is exactly what's going to happen. Like they talk to you about probability and possibility timelines. The probability is like the one we're going towards now. And the possibility is, well, if there's a shift, it could go down this way instead. And it seems that we're down the probability line of more things coming, because not enough people are waking up. And so we're headed towards a mass awakening, but awakening's happening through crisis, right? So that's what we've been going through, really. We've been going through Earth crisis to help us wake up. There's a lot, it's like so complex. There's like so many things going on. I don't feel like we're at the end of it, because I know there's a lot of countries opening up and people are feeling free again. I feel like people really need to double down on their, like, know yourself, go in, figure yourself out. Like you said, continue learning, become independent from the system as much as you can. That's what's going to save you mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's like, I call it the formula. Like that's the formula, right?
Yeah, that's brilliant. So what would hope be for you? What's the word hope mean for Lucia?
It's like just having for me at least, it's having a projection of something that I believe that can really happen. For right now, if I had to say on the spot in this moment, for me, hope is looking towards humanity and saying, this is possible. We can all wake up and have a better reality. And there's always going to be negative in the world, because you can't have light without, dark. But it's like having faith. It's like having a projection of something you still believe in. I have hope towards that. I think I'm a very world mind. So like, I think if you speak to my sister, she's more about emotions and things like that. I'm always more focused about what's going on in the world. And I like to scan the world to see what's going on as a collective, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
and if there's a message you'd like to give out there, what would it be?
That I think that if you allow yourself to go on the path of waking up and seeing the world for the way it really is, which in the beginning could hurt a little bit, because like, wow, this stuff really happens, or this is really going on over there. But once you realize what's really going on, it reminds me of the Matrix, the red pill. It's like, once you take the red pill, you can't go back. Well, take that red pill and yes, give yourself time to digest whatever it is that red pill is giving you, and then use that information, that knowledge, to empower yourself and create your own reality bubble where you can become more content and create better things for yourself and for your family, right? And your friends. And also, maybe some of your friends won't come on board with you, but that doesn't mean that you lose all your friends. That means you're going to bring into your awareness new friends that are on this new path with you. So be open to doors closing and opening while you create that new reality bubble. But my biggest advice is that, like, take that red pill. The Akashic Records always talk about how knowledge is power. Like, we're given a brain, not just by incident, because a lot of people go, oh, well, I'm going to intuitively see how I feel about this. That's great. I love that. Use your intuition to figure out what you're feeling to do, but also use your brain, the knowledge base, to know what is the consequence of each of those decisions.
Yes.
So use both. Don't just disregard the brain, because I think that we start going down the path. This is at least my opinion. I think some people start going down the path of spirituality and just go, oh, let me feel. Okay, I think this is, I'm supposed to do this. And that's great. But do you know all the information behind that decision? Were you really using your brain and trying to figure out where that's going to take you, or where that can take you? So I would say analyze, as well as get intuitive hits, but analyze the intuitive hits. You know what I mean? Like the sand thing that you saw my name come up. You could have been like, oh, coincidence, or, oh, that must be something. You used your brain to start putting one and one together.
Yes.
And so we need to do that with more expanded things, with bigger things in our life, which take more analysis, of course, but I think it's needed.
I think what you're saying is, because they're always clues, they're always messages. If we listen carefully, there are always messages. But then what? What are you going to do with that? Are you going to just ignore it? Or are you going to take it forward? As you said, using the tools that are given to you to learn more, which is very important.
Yep.
Oh, I love that. So what would you say Lucia's mantra for life is?
Oh my God, I'm all about action. I'm like the polar opposite of my sister. I'm like, just do it. Like, if there's something you want to do, don't sit around and plan it for 20 years. Like, just go do it. My best story is, and it's like my best story is like my divorce. My divorce, like, if you listen to the story, it's pretty sad. And I went against all odds. And it was like, I just went and did what I had to do. I knew that that marriage no longer suited me. I knew that I was allowing myself and my daughter to possibly go through a canal of a bad reality, and I said, I'm out. And I decided to put the house on sale, and I decided it was going to be sold super quick. And I decided somehow I was going to get the money really quickly. And everyone in my life was like, Lucia, you're crazy. Like, you're leaving a good job. You're selling your house. You own a house, and you're going to go and you have no money in your pocket, and you're going to go with your 1-year-old, and you're going to move to Europe. And I'm like, I don't know, it's going to happen. I'm going to do it. So I think that when you decide something and you feel it, and that I'm kind of disregarding the whole red pill thing. I'm like, I tell people to like make sure to see the consequence here, but there's so much complexity. Like, you need to make sure and see, well, I had a plan B. I said, okay, if this doesn't go well, I'm going to just fly back and live with my parents for a while and figure out what I'm going to do. So I did have a plan B to fall back on if plan A went awry, of course, but I still had hope. And I kind of commanded or demanded from the universe, like, I'm a good person. I've been doing good things. I deserve for the universe to support me in this decision. And everything magically came into place. Like, my house sold in a week. The person that bought the house bought it in cash, and they actually pressured us to get the house faster than we were planning on giving it to them, because they wanted to move into it right away. Like, everything aligned perfectly. I think that only can happen if you're like, action, let's go, let's do it. I'm not taking no for an answer, universe. Like this, I'm a good person. I deserve it. So I think on the base of that is feeling like you deserve it.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. I'm a good person. I deserve it. And feeling like you deserve it. More often than not, we feel that we don't deserve it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we don't deserve it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been working a lot lately with the energy of money, and I've been like connecting with the energy of money and trying to have a conversation with it.
Yes.
So I've never done this before, and I've been doing this for a week now. And I've learned one thing, because money actually can communicate with you. The energy can tell you things. And I said, you know what, money, tell me something that I don't know, or something that I need to know. And money was talking to me about how it actually wants to be good. It wants to do good things. Now, the fact that someone might grab it and do bad things, utilize money to do bad things, that's not in the energy of money. That's in the energy of the person that's using money.
Yes.
And so what money's saying is, a lot of people block it from coming because we were born with this idea of money's bad. Money's the root of all evil, right? That whole saying that maybe
Yes.
one of our parents once said to us, or we heard someone in the background say, and we brought it into our belief system. And so I think we all need to be like, no, I'm done with the belief systems from my ancestors or my parents. I'm going to create my own belief system, and I'm going to connect with energy of money, energy of the land, whatever it is you're looking to speak to. And you can speak to it, and they can talk to you, and you can create a relationship with it that becomes healthier and allows you it to come into your life a little bit more.
I love that. I love this. Talk to money and invite it into your life.
Yeah.
I think more women especially need to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, the first thing I did with money was like, don't ask, like, the humans grab something and go, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I want this, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
But the first thing is, yes, you can do that, but create a relationship. It's like, imagine that you have a best friend. The first time you met that best friend, you didn't go, I want to go on walks with you. I want to go to the beach. I want to do. No, your friends go, but this girl's insane. Like, she's just grabbed me and just is making all these life plans with me. The first thing you're going to do with that new best friend is you're going to create a bond. You're going to create a relationship, communication, speaking, bringing energy back and forth with each other.
Yes.
And that's the same thing with money. Like, first create the relationship. And then once you guys got each other, then you go, hey, let's get some money in for a vacation, for example, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So I've been starting that, and I've seen, you know, a little bit more coming in very gradually, or, you know, there was a return that was supposed to come back to me from a payment that didn't go through, and it comes back. Like, you can see how things that were blocked start unblocking very, very slowly. But when you see it, you start trusting it. And when you start trusting it, you want to keep communicating with money. So I've been really enjoying the process, to be honest with you. It's really nice.
I love that. That's lovely, Lucia. So thank you so much for this wonderful talk. It was lovely speaking to you. And I feel so happy that I did the the Akashic Records course with you guys. It was really a wonderful course. And I'm looking forward to doing two, the second level.
Oh, yay. Yeah, we just finished downloading the manual with our spiritual team. So we're in the process of reading, make sure the grammar's right. And oh my God, we're so excited to teach it.
Yeah, wow, that's lovely. Thank you very much, and hope to speak to you again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
See you.